Shalom, I'm Rabbi Jonathan Ginsburg. This is the 10th and final video in the series of 100 questions Jews should know the answer to, and this one is about Israel. 95. What does Zionism mean, and when did the movement begin? Well, in some sense, you could say Judaism has always been Zionistic. You read the Torah, it's a Zionist book. It's basically God promising Abraham that he will be the founder of a great people and bring him to Israel, and that's the whole point of the Torah in some ways, besides the whole issue of the commandments. And then the rest of the Bible is trying to conquer the Holy Land, staying there, the dispersion, not wanting to leave. And then the last 2,000 years, every time we turn around and pray, in our regular prayers and our grace after meals, we pray at the end of the Passover Seder to be restored to Israel. The Zion, of course, is Mount Zion in Jerusalem. It's also the word for Jerusalem. It's also now associated with the state of Israel. And Zionism, as a modern term, is a last century term that is associated with the desire of the Jewish people to have its own homeland. Theodor Herzl, in reaction to the Dreyfus affair of a French colonel, a captain who was falsely charged with treason, concluded the Jewish people need their own state, and he basically had a vision, and he coined the phrase, "If you will it, it is no dream," and through his efforts and those of others, the modern state of Israel came to be. 96. What roles did Theodor Herzl and Chaim Weizmann play in shaping the movement? I kind of gave you the answer there. Herzl and Chaim Weizmann got together the first Jewish Congress in 1897, and they predicted there that within 50 years there would be a Jewish state. Of course, it was exactly 50 years later when the United Nations voted to partition Palestine. 97. What is the Balfour Declaration, and what did it mean to the Jews? Well, Lord Balfour was a British lord, and he wrote a paper in the 20s basically stating that, in the opinion of the British Empire, the Jewish people had a right to a homeland. And that gave the impetus for everything else that happened politically, leading to the United Nations resolution in 1947, of course, just 2 years after the Holocaust was ended. 98. Who are the great personalities in the state of Israel since the establishment in 1948? Well, there are many. Many are buried at Mount Herzl, although not all. Of course, David Ben-Gurion, the first prime minister. Golda Meir, who was the prime minister during the 73 war and the first woman prime minister. Modern personalities include Benjamin Netanyahu, former prime minister. Ehud Barak, former prime minister. Omer, the current prime minister. Sharon, who still lies in a coma, sadly, a giant personality in Israel, but there are many. 99. What kind of government does Israel have, and what is its relationship with the Jews in the diaspora? Well, it is the only democracy of the 21 countries in the Middle East, one of the greatest pure democracies in the world. It's not exactly like the American democracy. It's a parliamentary system. So you don't vote for a person, except for prime minister now. You vote for your party. And then all the parties get representation in the 120-seat parliament called the Knesset based on their vote. And then you need 61 votes, obviously, to have a majority. And so the prime minister tries to put together a government of 61 for sure votes in his government by making concessions to various smaller parties. And currently, Kadima is the major party, but that's brand new. The major parties in the history of Israel were Labor and Likud. And also, there's always religious parties that have significant power. There's also, I believe, 11 Arabs who are members of the Knesset. Can you imagine a Jew being a member of a government in an Arab country? Impossible. That just shows you what a vital democracy Israel is. Relationship with Jews in the diaspora, very strong. It would be better if more American Jews and diaspora Jews visited Israel, were more committed to Israel. One of the saddest statistics I've seen is that 50% of American Jews no longer feel a special bond with Israel, which I just cannot believe. Israel is one of the most important aspects of Jewish life, and it has to be a very strong bond. And if you want to go to Israel, come with us next May. Contact me through this, and we're going. Our congregation's having another trip. We had a very successful one last October. Explain the following. 100. This is the last question. First of all, UN Resolution 242. That does not say Israel has to return all the lands it got in 1967. It has to return lands. And so it's already given back a lot of land, including the whole Sinai. And Ehud Barak offered Arafat a huge portion of the Judea and Samaria, which Arafat turned down and started a war, the Intifada II. But that's UN Resolution 242. PLO, Palestine Liberation Organization, the terrorist guerrilla group that inflicted mass casualties in Israel and has really been the major source until now of preventing Palestinians from having their own state. West Bank, Judea and Samaria, it's a part that was governed by Jordan from 1948 till 67. Israel captured it, and it's the area really in Israel inside the Jordan River. And that's the disputed area. There are Jews who live there, as Jews always have, and there are many in the world who believe that Israel should give all of that back to help create a Palestinian state. Palestinian autonomy is what's that? Well, that's the concept that the Palestinians should be able to govern themselves. Israel's on record as wanting to have a Palestinian state. The problem is the major party in power now, Hamas, is committed to Israel's destruction. How do you negotiate, even talk to somebody until they say, we're willing to recognize you, we'll stop violence? Can't. We'll recognize past agreements. They have to do those simple three things before there can be any progress. Peace movement. Well, there's very little peace movement in the Arab world, but there is a strong peace movement in Israel on the left, basically, that says we need to continue to work hard, although all of Judaism believes in peace and would love nothing more than to have peace with its neighbors. Pluralism. What's that? Well, that's the major problem, that religious life, there's no separation of church and state in Israel. The government pays for religion, but for Judaism, it pays for Orthodox Judaism, and so non-Orthodox Jews get the short end of it. And it's a very discriminatory system, which is very difficult to remedy since the Orthodox have so much power there. Okay, well, those are the 100 questions that every Jew should know. Why don't you find out how you did? And if anybody wants a list of these questions, just contact me and I can email them to you.